7:40 on a Friday, at a restaurant on the good side of town, the one with the concrete walls that make everything twice as loud. There are 5 of you. The menu has no prices on the specials, and nobody has asked about that, because asking about that is not a thing anyone at this table does. The waiter comes around. Everyone orders. And when he gets to you, you say you're fine, you ate late, you'll just get a drink. It isn't true. You're hungry. You have been hungry since about 4. Nobody notices. Why would they? It's a completely ordinary sentence, and the conversation has already moved on to something else before the waiter has finished writing. You will do a version of this 11 more times before the year is over. Nobody is going to notice that either. Nothing has gone wrong tonight. Nothing goes wrong for a long time. That's what makes this so hard to talk about. You expect financial discipline to feel like discipline. You expect it to feel like the montage. Like something you'd be quietly proud of. Like a thing that has a shape you could describe to someone if they asked. It doesn't feel like that. It feels like lying. Small, boring, socially frictionless lies. Delivered so smoothly that you barely register them as lies. I ate already. I'm driving. I've got an early thing. Not this time. There is no version of this where you say the true sentence, which is that you have decided the $40 is worth more to you somewhere else. Because that sentence changes the temperature of a table. So you don't say it, and the strangest part is what that does to you over 11 months. Count them sometime. The Friday dinners you skip half of. The bachelor party you go to for 1 night instead of 3. The group gift where you put in 30 instead of the 50 everyone rounded to. The concert everyone booked in March that you said you'd think about and then never mentioned again. 22, maybe. 25. 25 small moments in a year where you said a slightly untrue thing and then changed the subject. Individually, none of them mean anything. Any one of them, on its own, is just a Friday. But you're the only person in the world doing the arithmetic on all 25 at once. Everyone else at that table experienced one evening. You experienced a pattern. That's the imbalance nobody warns you about. Here is what it was costing you before, when you were still in it, and every line of it was normal. 2 dinners a month at a place with concrete walls. $90 each, once you've split evenly with a table that ordered better than you did. The trip in June that everyone agreed was reasonable at the time. The bottle somebody put on their card at midnight that got divided by 5 the next morning. The bachelor party. Flights, a hotel room you were in for 6 hours. A dinner where the bill arrived and nobody looked at it. $480 for a weekend you remember about 40 minutes of. None of this was stupid. It bought you something real, and it's important to be honest about what. It bought you being there. Being one of the 5. Being someone who is easy to invite. That's not a small thing. That is possibly the least small thing there is. And when you stop paying for it, you find out exactly what you were buying, because it goes away. What replaces it is harder to picture, which is the whole problem. Nothing appears. There's no moment. The money doesn't arrive anywhere you can see it, because the entire point is that it goes somewhere you've agreed not to touch. So the trade you've made is a real, felt, weekly cost against a benefit that is by design completely invisible to you. You gave up 5 evenings you'd have enjoyed for a number on a screen you look at maybe twice a month. That's not a good deal in any way your nervous system can register. Your nervous system evolved to weigh things it can see against things it can see. It has no category for this, which is why almost nobody does it. And why the ones who do almost never talk about it. There's the one who's still in it. You see him in June. He's got the newer version of the thing, and he's got a story about the trip you didn't go on, and he's genuinely, uncomplicatedly good company. He always was. That's why this is hard. At some point he mentions, half laughing, that he's moved something onto a card, and he'll deal with it in the fall. He's not worried. It isn't a confession. It's just a thing he said between 2 other things. And you don't say anything. Because what would you say? You have no advice he asked for. You have no standing. From where he's sitting, you've been slightly boring for 2 years and he has no idea why, because you never told him. You drive home. And somewhere on that drive, you understand that you are not ahead of him in any way that either of you can see. You just have a number in an account that nobody has ever asked about, and he has a weekend you weren't at. None of this is a character flaw. It's a reference group. Human beings do not evaluate their situation in absolute terms. They can't. There's nothing to measure against. So they measure against the nearest available people, and the nearest available people are whoever they eat dinner with. Which means spending isn't really about the things. Spending is a language. It's how a group tells itself that everyone in it is still roughly the same. Ordering the same, splitting evenly, going on the trip. That's not consumption, that's grammar. It's how you say, I'm still one of you. And when you stop speaking it, you haven't just saved money, you've stopped answering. People don't consciously notice that. Nobody at that table thinks about it for 1 second. But groups drift toward the people who are easy. And being easy costs about $90 a fortnight, and you have decided not to pay it. Nobody will ever tell you that's what happened. The part that gets you is not the money, and it's not the dinners. It's a Tuesday in August, and you're scrolling, and there are photos from a weekend at somebody's family place by a lake. You weren't asked, not excluded, not iced out. There was no decision, no conversation, no moment where 4 people agreed you shouldn't come. It's simpler and worse than that. They just didn't think of you. Because for 2 years you have been the one who says, not this time, and eventually a person stops being someone you invite and becomes someone you tell about it afterward. That transition happens without a single person choosing it. You put the phone face down on the counter, and your partner asks what's wrong, and you say nothing, because the true answer takes 10 minutes and starts with a number in an account that you have never explained to anybody. That's the moment you find out what this actually cost. Not the dinners, not the trip in June. You have been doing the right thing, in private for 2 years, in a way that has slowly made you slightly less of a person to the 4 people you like most. And you did it silently, and the silence was the whole mistake. You could have said it. Any Friday, any one of the 25. 6 words would have done it. I'm saving for something, I'm out. Nobody at that table would have thought about it for longer than 4 seconds. One of them might have said good for you and meant it. One of them might have gone quiet, because he's been thinking about doing the same thing and hasn't told anyone either. But you didn't say it, because saying it out loud makes it a thing about you, and the entire appeal of doing it quietly was that it wasn't a thing about you. So you protected the secret, and the secret cost you the lake. You don't move back in with the group. There's nothing to move back to, and going to 2 dinners a month to prove a point would be its own kind of stupid. You do one thing. You tell one person the truth. Not a speech. Not a conversion attempt. You're in a car with one of them in September and it comes up sideways, and instead of saying, I've got an early thing, you say the real sentence out loud for the first time in 2 years. You say you're trying to put money away and you've been weird about it and you should have just said so. He says, okay. That's it. That's his entire reaction. He says, okay, and then he asks what you're saving for, and you tell him, and he says that's smart, and then you talk about something else for 20 minutes. 2 years of managing an elaborate social operation, and the whole thing could have been dismantled by 1 sentence in a car. He starts suggesting cheaper places sometimes. Not always. Not obviously. But sometimes. You still don't go to everything. That hasn't changed, and it isn't going to. You're just no longer lying about why. 7:40 on a Friday, at the restaurant with the concrete walls. There are 5 of you. The menu still has no prices on the specials. The waiter comes around, and everyone orders. And when he gets to you, you order food, because you're hungry, and because it's a Friday, and because tonight this is where the money goes. Nobody notices. Nobody has ever noticed. Not the 25 times you didn't, and not tonight when you did. Not one person at this table has spent a single second thinking about what you order in either direction across 2 entire years. That's the thing worth taking with you. You have probably been waiting for someone to acknowledge it. Some signal that the hard part registered, that the discipline was seen, that it counted for something in the eyes of people whose opinion you actually value. That signal is not coming. Not this year, not in 10. The account doesn't announce itself. Nobody throws you a party for the trip you didn't take. There is no external moment where the sacrifice becomes visible and everybody understands. You will just be sitting somewhere, eventually, able to say yes to something large. And nobody will connect it to a Friday in October where you said you'd already eaten. Including, probably, you.